Aaron says we're ready. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Zanesville City Schools Board of Education regular meeting for November 21st, 2023 at Zane Gray Intermediate. I call this meeting to order at 6:00 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Mr. Young.
Mr. Baldwin.
Here.
Mrs. Clark.
Here.
Mr. Hickman.
Here.
Mrs. Lee.
Here.
Ms. Long.
Here. Before we begin this meeting tonight, on behalf of the Board of Education, we would like to express our sympathy and support to the family and students and staff of John McIntyre Elementary on the passing of 11-year-old sixth grader Carson White here of cancer last week. Also, as you've noted today, the district today, as many other districts, are wearing red and black to show support for the Tuscarawas Valley School District, who tragically lost 3 students and 3 adults in a terrible accident as their band was traveling to the Ohio School Boards Association meeting in Columbus to perform last Tuesday. Our ZHS band boosters sold waffles Friday night at the football game and are sending their proceeds to the Tuscarawas band. Please, with all of us, let's honor them with a moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. I will now move into introduction of guests. Mr. Appleman.
Yes, parents.
Yeah.
Students will be coming in soon. Administration.
Thank you. Thank you very much. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Lawler, the assistant principal here at Zane Gray Intermediate.
So I'm Mr. Lloyd. Can you hear me? Whatever.
Now is it work? Here we go. All right, so I'm Mr. Lawyer. I'm the associate principal at Zane Gray Intermediate. I was at the building for 10 years teaching a mix of language arts and science, and this is my first year taking a jump into administration. So thank you for everyone for coming this evening, parents, guardians, friends, family. The whole purpose of this evening is to celebrate our incredible students and our incredible staff who do some wonderful things in this building every day. So when I saw the board meeting was at Zane Gray Intermediate on the 21st tonight, at the beginning of the month, I know Mr. Stallard, always the previous principal, did a great job of reaching out to teachers and saying, hey, we're at the board meeting at our building. Is there anyone that wants to have some students present some things, anything that's going on in the classroom? Because not often do we get to know what exactly our students are doing. And they're doing incredible things. So I wanted to carry on that tradition, and I reached out to everyone up at this building, 3rd through 6th grade, and I had 5 teachers respond to me right away. So we had Mrs. Bates. They're going to do some gym stuff, some gym activities that they do in gym every day. We have 3 3rd grade teachers. We have Mrs. Robrecht, Mrs. Lawyer, and Mrs. Hunt. And then we have a 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Brady, who all, came forward and said, I'd love to show off my students. So thank you, parents, for coming tonight. Thank you, students, for showing us, every day how awesome you are and kind of demonstrating it for us tonight. But most of all, thank you to our teachers, because it's hard to kind of open up your classroom to the whole world sometimes. But, they stepped up and said, you know what? We have some awesome kids in our room. We want to give them the floor to show us how incredible they are and some of the things that we do every single day in Zane Gray and why we are the best school in this district. So without any further ado, I believe we have Mrs. Bates, who's going to give us a little gym warm up. Miss Bates, come on down. You ready? You got your gym warm up? All right. So every day when they come in the gymnasium, Mrs. Bates does a little warm up with them to get their blood flowing, and it's a little HIIT workout for those of you who don't know, high intensity interval training. And I believe it's 15 seconds on.
So they are gonna show us how to do it, show you guys how we do it to get us all warmed up. Alright? Alright. Okay. Go. Up. Split jump. Go. Okay, go. Go.
I was gonna say, that's no effort.
No.
All right.
They got to call triple income.
All right, go.
Blank.
Go. Almost done. Good, like a Spider-Man done. Go ahead, go. Good. Almost done, 24 seconds. Good. And that's our one.
Yeah.
Work hard, they work hard for it.
Thank you, Miss Bates, and make sure keep those in mind after Thursday's feast. Keep in mind some movements you can do to work off some calories. So next we have Mrs. Robrecht and Mrs. Hunt. Going to talk to us about some of their language arts work they've been doing lately.
So our third grade class, Mrs. Hunt and I, have been working on opinion pieces for this quarter, and then also working on maps for social studies. So they have been working really hard on writing an opinion piece about Zane Grey Intermediate, Zanesville, and Ohio, and they have a map that they drew of each.
What school is the best school ever? Yeah, that's right. You guessed it. It's Zane Grey Intermediate. First, we like that there are double dollars. You can get double dollars for being ready, respectful, responsible. Another reason Zane Grey is the best is you can go on field trips. Lastly, Zane Grey is the best because of the awesome teachers. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. These are the things that we like about Zane Grey Intermediate. Here's the map of Zane Grey Intermediate, and we have the lunchroom, the tables, the bathroom, the doors, the lockers, and that's it. Choo-choo, do you hear the train going through Zanesville? We love the city of Zanesville. First, we think the Y Bridge is super cool. The Y Bridge is in the shape of a Y. You can go 3 different ways on the Y Bridge. People come from all different states to see the Y Bridge. Other reasons Zanesville is awesome is because they have cool parks. Zanesville has Dillon State Park, Putnam Park, and Riverside Park. Lastly, Zanesville has the best ice cream. You can go to Tom's Ice Cream Bowl, McDonald's, Dairy Queen, and Bill's Barbecue. As you can see, we love the city of Zanesville. We have Muskingum County. We have Zanesville in it. We have the 70 Road. We have the Wide Bridge, the trains and ice cream. We have the trees, which is the parks. We have Dillon and Blue Rock. We have the tents where you can camp at. We have the airports. We have the deer that run across the earth. And we have Muskingum County River and Map Key. a park, their tent, ice cream, trains. We love Ohio because of all of the things you can do and find. The state bird is a cardinal. We like the cardinal because it is red like the state flag. Another reason we like Ohio is because of because of the Ohio State Buckeyes. They are a good team and we like how they work together. Finally, there are fun places you can go and visit, like Zubizi Bay, Cosi, and the Wilds. We like Ohio because of all of the reasons we talked about and wrote. This is the map of Ohio. That's Columbus, that's Zanesville, that's Cosi, that's Zubizi Bay, and that's the Wilds.
Go ahead and put your green papers down. We come over this. We had a rolling cart and then it decided not to work, so I couldn't roll it down here. So Mrs. Hunt's going to help us out today. So good evening, Zanesville City School Board staff and community members and parents. I'm Mrs. Lawyer and I teach third grade math, science, and social studies. Here with me are some students. So we have Maya Smar, Camden Wickham, Alani Hampton, Sabree Mayo, Osiris McGee, and Jordan Conrad. So we want to start by thanking you for this opportunity. And I always cry every time I present to them. I always cry because this is such a big deal. And your child might tell you when they come and they're practicing during special and today we didn't do it during special. We did it during the class. And they're like, aren't you keeping us during special? I'm like, no, guys, you got to go to class. It's okay. But they give up lunch. They've given up special time to sit and practice this. So thank you for bringing them. And thank you for giving us this opportunity. When we told them like, this is a big deal, you know, you were selected, they were very excited. So they're a little nervous, but they're very excited. If you were to walk by my classroom, you would often hear off-pitch singing and offbeat clapping throughout the day as we sing songs and chants daily to help us learn our material. After reading the article, The Benefits of Using Songs and Chants for Classroom Management and Learning, I found there are many perks to using chants and songs within the classroom. One of the first reasons they are used in the classroom is to help students learn and retain information. When information is paired with rhymes and a catchy melody, students can better remember or memorize it. For example, if I asked you to say the alphabet, most of you would say A, B, C, D, because we were taught with our alphabet with that catchy tune as people found students better understand and remembered all their letters in the alphabet when they were sung and presented with music. So using songs and chants in the classroom has the same effect as listening to music on the radio. As adults, we get a line from a song or a specific music stuck on replay in our minds without much effort. The same thing happens with our students. When we use the same songs repeatedly throughout the school year, they replay in the minds of our students and will continue with them for many years. So tonight, we will be sharing with you ways we use songs and chants to learn.
The first chant we learned was to help us solve addition problems. Adding numbers can be hard when you have to carry, but with this chant, it makes it a little easier. This is heavy. The second chant we used was to help us solve subtraction problems. Subtracting numbers can be tricky when you have to borrow from an next door neighbor. Newest math chant is to help us remember to round up or down. We say we sing songs to help us learn our math facts. One of our favorites is the three song.
Chants and songs are even used in science and social studies. To help us learn our cardinal directions, we like to sing this song.
We even use chants to celebrate one another when someone gets a perfect paper. We love to cheer for them. Third grade can be tricky, but with the help of these songs and chants, we can learn anything. We hope you enjoyed learning just a few of our favorite songs and chants.
I really should have gone before her, but that's okay. I'm Mrs. Brady. I'm a fifth grade ELA teacher. And these are some of my wonderful students from my two ELA classes. We have been working on writing opinion pieces also in fifth grade, and we have been working really hard on top of our other opinion piece that we're currently writing on why Zane Grey is the absolute best school in Zanesville City, but also in Zanesville, the city. So we're gonna hand it off to Kyler to get us started, and they all have each written a paragraph to make this opinion piece.
Before 2013, so many students wanted to call Zane Grey Elementary their school, but because of the size of the building, there was not enough room. What was there to do? Well, next door there was a community school. They decided they would change it to Zane Grey, but they would be copying their next door neighbor. So they made it Zane Grey Intermediate instead. And because of this building, they had to make sure it was going to live up to its name. So the district hired the best teachers, staff, and the best cooks out of all the schools in Zanesville City Schools. Here are some reasons why Zane Grey Intermediate is the best school around.
According to the Ohio School Reports Cards website, in the 2022 to 2023 school year, Zane Grey had a total enrollment of 949 students and teachers' grades preschool through sixth grade. Zane Grey ranks number 1 for enrollment out of all of the Zanesville City schools. The high school comes in second with 650 students. The overall attendance percentage from last year was 90.1%. Zane Grey got a total overall rating of 3.5 stars out of 5. Zane Grey received 5 out of 5 stars in progress, which looks closely at the growth students are making on their performances on the OST. This is something that we are very proud of here at Zane Grey.
You know that field between the two buildings that makes for the best playground area around. James Gray provides students with lots to do at recess. James Gray has a beautiful garden right by the shelter. In the spring, the flowers start growing and the vegetables and fruit also start growing. We have a big field for kickball and for other sports. Also on Fridays, Mr. Lawyer brings a speaker out to play music. There is a whole spot for students to dance and sing. If you get bullied or picked on, the teachers will take care of it and stop the problem. They will resolve the conflict to make sure any bullies is taken care of. That's why recess is so fun and great times to spend with friends.
Have you ever needed to find a perfect school to go to or need to find one for your kid? I recommend Zane Grey Intermediate. The teachers here always teach you what you need to know in a fun and entertaining way. They always understand your struggles and can decrease or increase the difficulty depending on your level of work. It will also reward good behavior too. The PBIS rewards take place at the end of every month. As long as you have enough dojo points, you can participate in the reward. I know all of this because I've been going to this school for 2 years and all of my teachers have been understanding and all good behavior is rewarded. I also requested harder work to do and I'm now able to do so. That is why I'm confident that Zane Grey is the best school.
Zane Grey is the best school around because all the teachers that I have had are supportive. They encourage you to go out of your comfort zone. For example, Mrs. Brady encourages me to go out of my comfort zone. She says if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're going to miss a lot of opportunities. Another reason why I love Zane Grey is because I've been going to Zane Grey since I was in kindergarten. I did go to West Muskingum for only a week. I missed my teachers. I missed the school that I grew up in. I had my mom transfer me as fast as she could back. Some teachers I've had are Mrs. Ward, Mrs. Hickman, Mrs. Weingartner, Mrs. Bracken, Mrs. Newsom, Mrs. Lazier, Mrs. Tom, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Collins, and Mrs. Burnett. The teachers that I have now are Mrs. Brady, Mrs. Hoffer, Miss Thomas, Mrs. Collins, Miss Green, and Mr. Winters. Zane Grey is my childhood. I've learned everything I know from Zane Grey. I've learned to make friends, to read, to write, and most importantly, to be independent. This is why I believe Zane Grey is the best school round.
As Zane Grey Intermediate, there are very kind teachers like Miss Brady and Mr. Winters. There's also super good food like pizza, chicken nuggets, and chili. There are also very kind students and you can make friends with them. For example, my friend Clayton and I are such good friends because we both have a lot of things in common. Clayton and I are both in robotics, which let us become better friends this year. We both also like chess. We play it every time he's at my house. These are all reasons why Zane Grey Intermediate is the best school.
Zane Grey is the best school because it has excellent students and staff that always go above and beyond to do their absolute best to make Zane Grey the best school around. I took some time to interview some staff and students that learn and work here. I asked them all 3 simple questions. The first person I asked was Miss Robrecht. She used to be my 3rd grade teacher. She said, "We have the most pride than any other school. We are all dedicated doubles." When I was looking for a position, I wanted to teach 3rd grade, and I heard the students were awesome. The second person I asked was Mr. Lawyer, and he said Zane Grey is the best school because we have amazing staff that go above and beyond for our students to make sure their mental and emotional needs are met. As for our students, we have students that are always willing to work extremely hard
in order to be the best they can be. Zangray chose me. They told me I was going to be working here, and I loved it so much I stayed. The next person I interviewed was Miss Donahue, and she said, "We have amazing kids who work really hard to learn new information. We have kids that are excited to come to school. We have great teachers who work hard to teach their students and make learning fun. We have field trips, PBIS, and rewards." Zangray chose me because sixth grade used to be at the middle school called Grover Cleveland. They moved me to the primary building. We had 6 grades in one building. Then after 2 years of being there, they moved us up here, and I've been here since. I stayed here because I loved the students, staff, and teachers. Another person I interviewed was Miss Amy, and she said Zangray is the best because everyone treats you so nicely, and we have the best PAX leadership and dedicated students/devils. I chose Zangray because of the recommendations and positive reviews I got. We have great teachers, students, and staff. Then I interviewed Kennedy. She is a student, and she said the activities are fun and the teachers are great. It was close, and the teachers are fun, and the principals are always fun. The last person I interviewed was a student named Brenna, and she said the teachers are good and some of the students are nice. I came to Zangray because I moved, and I loved it and stayed. Zangray is truly the greatest school. Don't you agree?
So as you can see, Zangray is the best school around. We have amazing students, teachers that are dedicated to their students and to their careers, and other staff members that love the building. The atmosphere at Zangray is like no other. You can feel the love that everyone has for our building, our students, and each other. To others, we may seem like the underdogs, but if you take a good look, we are the best, hands down.
Thank you so much, students, staff. This is why we love what we do. We have wonderful kids here. Thank you, parents, for bringing them. We'll let you dismiss to take your children home. You're welcome to stay for the meeting, but you're allowed to go. Oh, pictures first.
They get to go have cookies. They get to go have cookies. What's up with that?
Hopefully there's some left.
A lot of those parents are former students of mine. We might have had 30 people. This year they had 126.
Really? That's exciting.
It's crazy. I mean, they were like. Yeah, the all pro dads was John McIntyre is always a lot, but even they were low last year. This year they had, I mean, like 140. I mean, it's crazy. Good stuff.
I think we'll go ahead and move on. And at this time, I'm gonna turn it over for a few minutes to Mr. Ron Busey. No, go right ahead. Take it, yeah, we don't want you to do that.
Thank you for allowing me to time. This is me never talking 5 minutes speak. And I've never given a 5 minutes speak.
You got it today.
I'll try to do it, but I'm here with many others that would like to see the school board member either amend or appeal the honoring of Rear Admiral Albert County Memorial. We'd like to suggest it's may consider doing something at this high school, and I think the idea you guys have for a walk of fame is good. And if we can get Bert Callen, there's a statue of Bert Callen, I'll show you. I'll give all the whatever it's suggested you do. Have a memorial made and have him sit parallel with the American flag and turn his program over to the ROTC program, where they would get behind us to raise money to go ahead and fund this project. I've already talked to Susan Straker, and she indicated to me that Ron, she went to school first, she graduated first. She'd be interested in funding capital. She said she thinks the school ought to have some skin in the game. I would like to team up with the ROTC program, okay, and get them involved. Because what I would like to do is suggest to the two officers there in the high school that perhaps if the ROTC gives and then goodbye for town statute, they would sue it first. That's what it would be. And it would look like this, now a copy of the sculpture there. It would be a great way to honor Bert Callen. I'm not saying the football field is bad. I'm just saying that Bert Callen being the highest ranked serviceman ever to graduate from Zanesville High School. He happened to be the one who planned the plan, take out of some of the block. President Bush appointed him the commander of the Afghan, and it's just incredible what he has done. And he was here several years, 4 or 5 years ago. So, it was but I think that if we can get the ROTC kids involved, I'd love to see that. I know that I'm going into the service every year. You walk by for a statue there, okay? Show your respect and your love for him. The other thing that's concerning me here is that, to my knowledge, we have never honored any of the veterans who lost their lives in war, serving our country. I know we had a couple of our class. Sadly, I can only remember one of them. And I know there's others out there. So your walk of fame would be a great place to list maybe those who lost their lives, serving our country, and having put it out there in front would be a great appeal, honor. And I do think that if you go through with this, if you do the walk of fame, I think it's great. Here's what you do with it. But the Edward Callen there, I do think it adds a little bit more taste and touch to it. And I honestly believe that other schools that see what's going on at Zanesville High School with Bert Callen and the walk of fame, listing all those who served our high school and everything, and they would do what we're doing. I just think that, I mean, I've got a fundraiser for the ROTC that I know that they can do, what Dean did do, with raise a couple dollars. And I do believe it's a secret to raising money is to make sure that the program touches people's heart, that you're going to have money for. When it does, it does get. If it doesn't move, if it does touch your heart, they won't get you back. Bert Cowan substitutes for. And Bert Cowan will definitely, generate a lot of money and continue to honor our school. You know, I know we had that one thing there, the had trouble with the audience. Raise money to do that. So I would just love to see you do a Bert Cowan there and put it out there on the walkway. If you walk a fade, carry over the American flag. And when veterans walk in, like they have on the night, they would see Bert Cowan. It may the statement that I know the ROTC gets with, but maybe the other kids will pick up on that too. Whether their fathers or their brothers, whoever served. And I'm just hoping that you'll consider the idea, you'll like it, and pursue it. What I put together is the picture, okay? The copy is just, you know, it could be anything. Bert passed away on March 31st of this year. And he was born July 30th. And like I say, just the other night I saw on television, Dana Frida was being interviewed because they're on pages. And she said she interviewed the commander, she didn't say it first, the commander in charge in Afghanistan. And she said to him, she said, you know, it had to be difficult growing beers. When the men were over there to grow beers and everything, he said, well, it wasn't because it's just something they had to do. And she also asked him why, how hard was it to learn the language to speak over Afghanistan. And he said to her, man, we weren't over there to make friends. We had a job to do, get in, get out. So, and I think she did say it worked out, but it made me think that it wasn't working. So, I don't want to take a lot of time, but what I've done is I put together copies here for post and everything. And I'm not the only one that would like to see this with Bert. Because football field is fine. You'll see in 5 games. Okay, this here would be 365 games down here. The calendar will be here. And I love Bert. I knew Bert like to offer him to continue. The one thing he did say to me when we were talking to high school, that morning, Ron, don't ask me any difficult questions because I got already mentioned. If you do, I may not be able to answer. So we just gotta, take it with it everything. But we talked to his wife would be happy to know what he said. Bert was what he wanted. That's just the type of guy to do fun. So appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Everyone questions or anything, I was glad to answer, but I can't do it.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Ron. We'll appreciate that. We'll take a look at those and take it under advisement. We appreciate your time and effort.
We can
That's
pass
okay.
them around.
There, we'll pass them out.
Yeah, we can pass them around.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We have one.
Yep.
I do work for myself.
There you go. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Ron.
Too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Yeah, because I think, well,
And before we move on, I wanted to make a comment. The Tahar Food Service and our guys are back there, Chef John, Jason, and I'm sorry, in the middle. Anyway, Chef Corey. Okay. They've done a great job. Last week they were at the high school and even today at the middle school, I went up and watched them and got to eat a little bit of that sample and watch the kids trying to manipulate chopsticks. Chef John came out and kept trying to show them with the food today, and it was good. And I think they've enjoyed themselves and had a great time in the classes with you and the staff as well. So we appreciate that.
It's a good visit. I visited a lot of districts. We did about 9 classes. We did it for the Jackson Family Club. We did it 2 of the culinary science, and we did.
Yeah.
And we most importantly, most passionately, we did over half a dozen. So they're not just culinary classes; they're really culture classes. Well, they provide them everything. Very able to customize it. Some of the students we did a second trial. First one was just to build a relationship. Second time was to come out for them to really engage. And we met them out there. Very interesting. Great time at the high school. We did 600. We probably did, I think, 4 something today at the middle school. But really, the truth of it is, we're really make a good thing. We're going to do pizza forever. We're going to do burgers forever. There's buffering, just cooking with the team that really invests in doing different food. the right reasons, the right food that tells the story, doing the methods and techniques for chefs that are properly trained. You don't just get on the food French, but really, so a call from the reporter, you know, they always say, what else should you tell me? Really, what you can tell. When you have a board and you have a superintendent that values food and nutrition, and we can put all these kids in the cafeteria at the same time and give them the same food. The consequence in this community and different type of engagements, the chopsticks, and the easy tool for kids to just really put aside everything and level the playing field. That's what reflects a lot of kids in there. And some of the food doesn't always reflect the kids, but it's very inclusive and it's a great opportunity to really show you what our students all through. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank your time. Yeah. Great.
So John prepared dinner for you guys. It's over in the library. We realized that also the cookies were in the library, so it's important. It's everything in this bento box. I'll show you. Kevin has a photo. It's everything that the kids have been eating this week that Chef Jonathan prepared. So between Chef Corey, who came up from Portsmouth area, and I brought Chef Chad in from Chicago all last week. I just flew in last night. But yeah,
we're the bento box. There's two sauce containers. The kind of the tan one is your sesame dressing for your salad, and the other darker one is your garlic and your soy for your dumpling. That's what the
Perfect.
Get the right sauce. You have a little bit of fruit. You have the
Nice.
Can I go now?
you have the vegetables, and you have the frozen. All right.
I'd like to be excused.
But
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I appreciate your time.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We
Thank you.
appreciate it very, very much.
Thanks.
We'll move on to reports. We'll start with the Zanesville Community High School. Mr. Young?
Okay, Mr. Moore, current enrollment is 170, with 57 of those students being exceptional education. There are 3 students who have finished all requirements and are invited back to commencement in the spring, but they're free and gone. 5 more are on senior release and are just waiting on the end of course testing. They plan to add 12 more students to start the second semester in January. Today's the 21st, so last Wednesday, 9 students attended a field trip to Mideast. So hopefully some of those students are interested in attending out there. Monday and Tuesday of this week, all students were served a ham or turkey Thanksgiving dinner that was purchased by the district, by the school. And then, of course, he has a few personnel items listed on the agenda this evening, and he wishes everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Great. Thank you. Approval of the board minutes. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the minutes of the Zanesville Board of Education of the regular meeting on October 17th, 2023. May I have a motion, please?
Baldwin move.
And a second?
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
We'll now hear from our treasurer, Mr. Mike Young.
All right, guys, any questions on the October reports or reconciliations for either school? Of course, this month we have both forecasts on the agenda. And so just pointing out the difference between the two. Remember that the community schools forecast is their entire budget. So it's all funds, while the district's forecast is just the general fund. So any questions on the community schools? Still kind of a little tricky to play with all the COVID money and different things. You know, you say we got it, but if we don't spend it, we don't have it, you know, those kind of things. So you see a little bit of still transition there in fiscal year 24 and 25 as we close those out. But with regards to the city district, a couple things to point out. You'll see with the passage of the levy on the 7th that we now have all the taxes up on the top line, where before you had to separate when it's not on the books. So you had some down there at the bottom. That's got a slight increase each year. We're due for a full reappraisal in 24. So that may increase taxes a little bit for that fiscal year 25 collection. State foundation monies are straight from what we expect to receive based on current enrollment, both for the unrestricted and restricted funds. The restricted funds, as a reminder, includes things like career tech, health and wellness, ELL, those types of things. Then we raised it 2% the final 3 years, expecting the full phase in during the next budget, as well as continued increases in the future. One thing to point out revenue wise, we have that big number in fiscal year 23. That's the $5.4 million for the roofs. And so then you look down into capital outlay. That's why you see a big jump. So again, to point out, when you look at the ending numbers, the net for the year, we had a big increase last year. We'll have a big decrease this year. Ultimately land somewhere just real close to 2 years ago's balance. So it's, again, we may or may not be done with them in June. I believe they're finishing up. We're going to try to finish up McIntyre with the roofs, McIntyre. Okay, so that would leave Zane Grey Elementary and the admin building as the two for the spring. So we might get done before June 30th and not carry that over into fiscal year 25. As far as the expenses, salaries, benefits, salaries, I use 2% on the scale and 1.5% for steps, 5% on the benefit side. Again, on the purchase services and supplies, sometimes those get a little out of whack. We had to prepare the roofs, we had to seal them to keep them from leaking. So we had some increased costs that are buried in there. They're not capital costs. So again, we're kind of consistent out, a little bit of a bell curve in there with the what you know for 2 years and what you don't know for the final 3. But all in all, it's a pretty conservative, and I'd say it's pretty accurate for what we have today and with what we know today. So if you guys have any specific questions on any of that, again, I have the copy here. You can't read it when you print it, and the assumptions.
I tried to print it.
It's easier to read it when it's on the computer screen.
Mhm.
And then the last thing that I have, we do have some high claim numbers right now in health, so we do need to move some money, which actually I went ahead and moved it today. Tuesdays is when our weekly payment comes out, and it did go just a tick negative this morning with that payment. So we did go ahead and already move that 400,000 to take care of that, to make the bank happy, so that it wasn't sitting there negative till tomorrow.
Questions? May I have a motion, please, to approve? Clerk will move. Do I have a second?
Baldwin, a second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Move into superintendent's recommendation with Dr. Doug Baker.
Item 1, resignations classified. Approve a correction to the resignation of Nicole Stewart on the October 17th, 23 agenda to reflect her effective date as October 13th of 23. Approve the resignation of Alan Atkinson, custodian at National Road Elementary School, effective June 30th of 24. The reason for the resignation is retirement. And approve the resignation of Miley Zenhinder, special education aide at John McIntyre Elementary, effective November 30th of 23. And the reasons for the resignation is personal.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second. Clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Item 2, employment classified. Approve the following classified personnel as listed for the 23-24 school year, pending appropriate certification requirements and background checks. Christy Kinder, 3-hour food service, Zanesville Middle School, Cafeteria 2, Step 0, effective October 31st of 23. And Madison Windland, educational aid, 1-on-1, Zane Grey Intermediate, MD8, Step 0, effective October 30th of 23.
May I have a motion, please?
Leo move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes. Item 3, employment substitutes. Approve the following substitutes as listed, as and when needed, pending appropriate certification and background checks for the 23-24 school year. Would include sub teachers, sub aides, sub bus aides, sub food service, and sub transportation.
May I have a motion, please?
Long move.
And a second.
Leo second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Item 4, employee transfers, classified. Approve the transfer of Jody Cooper, kindergarten aide at National Road Elementary School to reflect special education aide at Zanesville High School, effective October 24th of 23, pending certification and background check. Rate of pay will be MD aide with AA, step 21 from the appropriate salary schedule. Approve the transfer of Brenda Watson, food service personnel at Zangray Elementary to reflect special education aide at Zangray Elementary, effective October 24th of 23, pending certification and background check. Rate of pay will be MD aide, step 5 from the appropriate salary schedule. And approve the transfer of Charlotta Knight, computer lab educational aide at National Road Elementary to reflect kindergarten educational aide at National Road Elementary, effective October 27th of 23, pending certification and background check. Rate of pay will be regular aide, step 25 from the appropriate salary schedule.
May I have a motion, please?
Baldwin move.
And a second.
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Item 5, FMLA leave of absence. Approve the following employees as listed for FMLA leave of absence.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move and a second.
Baldwin, second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Item 6, supplemental contracts. Approve the resignation of Deja Walker, Zanesville Middle School, winter 1/2 and freshman winter cheerleading advisor for the 23-24 school year. Reason for the resignation is personal. Approve the resignation of Alexis Nelson as Zanesville Middle School cheerleading advisor, winter 1/2 for the 23-24 school year, effective November 7th, 23. Reason for the resignation is personal. And approve the following supplemental contracts as listed, pending certification and background check for the 23-24 school year.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second. Clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Item 7, volunteers. Approve the following volunteers with thanks and appreciation as listed for Zanesville City Schools for the 23-24 school year, pending appropriate background checks.
May I have a motion, please?
Leo move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes. Item 8, field trip, Zanesville Middle School. Approve the Zanesville Middle School 8th grade students to travel to Washington DC, March 20th to 24 to March 22nd to 24. School staff will chaperone the class trip.
May I have a motion, please?
Long move.
And a second.
Leo second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Item 9, professional development, first aid training. Approve the following individuals as listed for first aid training on November 15th to 23 from 4 to 6 p.m. at the rate of $25 per hour to be held at Zanesville Middle School. This training is required by the state of Ohio.
May I have a motion, please?
Baldwin will move.
And a second.
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Item 10, Zanesville Community High School items. Approve the following personnel items for Zanesville Community High School to be paid with community school funds. Margaret Lee, EMIS Associate for Zanesville Community High School, an adjusted stipend in the amount of $2,400 for the 23-24 school year. Jason Stevens, Food Service Coordinator for Zanesville Community High School, an adjusted stipend in the amount of $4,800 for the 23-24 school year to be paid from their food service fund. Gail Didi, Food Service Assistant for Zanesville Community High School, an adjusted stipend in the amount of $2,400 for the 23-24 school year to be paid from their food service fund. And Jennifer Myers, Food Service Assistant for Zanesville Community High School, a stipend in the amount of $2,400 for the 23-24 school year to be paid from their food service fund.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move and a second.
Baldwin, second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Item 11, Zane State College Innovative Program Waiver Agreement. Approve an agreement with Zanesville City School District and Zane State College to request a waiver of the college readiness program requirement for students to enroll in the FYEX 1020 and subsequent technical classes for which they would qualify based on the college's course placement requirements. This waiver would be in effect for the 24-25 and the 25-26 years.
We have a motion, please,
Hickman will move.
and a second. Clerk will second. Any discussion?
I just want to say, I think this is an excellent opportunity for students. I mean, it's really exciting for them to be able to have that in there, so.
It's great. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Try again.
Let's try that one this morning.
Item 12, Allwell Behavioral Health Services Agreement. Approve an agreement between Allwell Behavioral Health Services and Zanesville City Schools for the 23-24 school year in order to add an additional Allwell staff member in the district. The purpose of this agreement is for the provision of community behavioral healthcare services such as mental health assessment, individual counseling, therapy, group counseling, therapy, mental health crisis intervention, consultation, and life skills education, students, parents, school personnel, and the schools of the district. Total reimbursement to Allwell Behavioral Health Services will be up to $20,000.
May I have a motion, please,
Leo move.
and a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion?
Just another kudos
Yeah.
because we were talking about this at DLT. We were talking about chronic absenteeism and these services are definitely supporting those gaps that we have. So the administration and staff that were at the DLT are very appreciative of these services. So.
That's great. Anything else? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Item 13, School Resource Officer Agreement. Approve the attached agreement between Zanesville City Schools and the City of Zanesville for 2 police officers to work as school resource officers for the 23-24 school year at the rate of $150,679.93.
May I have a motion to approve?
Long move.
And a second.
Leo second.
Any discussion?
Is this in addition to what we currently?
No, it would be for the high school, middle school officer.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Item 14, Meta Solutions, Ohio School Consortium bid. Approve a resolution to authorize Meta Solutions, acting as a member of the Ohio Schools Consortium, to issue a request for proposals for the purchase of competitive retail natural gas service from the lowest and best bidder submitted to the consortium, and authorizing the board to purchase competitive retail natural gas service from such bidder.
May I have a motion, please,
Baldwin will move.
and a second.
Long second.
Any discussion?
I'll have to abstain from this one because it's an ITC, Meta's an ITC. It falls under the management council, so.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Abstain.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Item 15, Administrative Salary Schedule. Approve the attached updated administrative salary schedule for the 23-24 school year to add the non-licensed manager column.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move, and a second.
Baldwin second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Item 16 are policy items for review and a form for review. There's no vote needed at this time. They'll come back to the agenda next month for approval. Now we'll be jumping over to the addendum. Addendum item number 1, termination administrative. Approve the termination of Nicholas Dennis effective November 21st of 23.
May I have a motion, please?
Baldwin move.
And a second.
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Item 2, preschool extended day. Approve the following teacher as listed to work the early late room for National Road Elementary as and when needed at the rate of $20 per hour for the 23-24 school year.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
got 2 Hickmans here. Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Item 3, addendum item 3, professional development, restraint training, first aid. Approved to have Matt Winland train the following staff members as listed in restraint methods. Trainings were held at Zangray Intermediate on November 13th, 14th, 15th of 23 from 4:15 to 8:15 as scheduled. Payment will be $20 per hour for trainees and Matt Winland, and an additional $20 per hour for Matt Winland for paperwork associated with the class. And approve Bev Ginsler as first aid class instructor for the 23-24 school year as and when needed at the rate of pay of $200 per session. Funding will be 21st Century and Musk Kingdom Behavioral Health Grant.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second. Clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Addendum item number 4, employment substitutes, home instructor. Approve the following substitute as listed, as and when needed, pending appropriate certification and background check for the 23-24 school year. And approve the following home instructor, instructors as listed, as and when needed, pending appropriate certification and background checks for the 23-24 school year.
May I have a motion, please?
Lee will move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Addendum item number 5, resignation classified. Approve the resignation of Jennifer Stewart, building secretary at John McIntyre Elementary, effective November 30th of 23. Reason for the resignation is personal.
May I have a motion, please?
Long move.
And a second.
Lee will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Addendum item number 6, school calendar 24-25. Approve the attached school calendar for the 24-25 school year.
May I have a motion, please?
Baldwin will move.
And a second.
Long second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Addendum item number 7, volunteers. Approve the following volunteers as listed for Zanesville City Schools for the 23-24 school year, pending appropriate certifications and background checks.
May I have a motion, please? Clerk will move. And a second.
Baldwin will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Ms. Lee, or Miss Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Addendum item number 8, employment administrative. Approve a 2-year administrative contract, 12 months, 260 days for Kevin Williams as food service manager effective December 6th of 23 through July 31st of 25, pending appropriate certification and background check. Salary will be the NLM 0 to 4, step 4 on administrative salary schedule. Salary will be prorated for the remainder of the 23-24 school year. And approve a 2-year contract, 12 months, 260 days for Stephen Vogelson as certified district chef effective November 13th of 23 through July 31st to 25, pending appropriate certification and background check. Salary will be CDC, step 19 on the administrative salary scale. Salary will be prorated for the remainder of the 23-24 school year.
May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second, clerk will second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Addendum item number 9, fiscal officer, Zanesville Community High School. Approve waiving the responsibility of employing the fiscal officer for Zanesville Community High School, the 23-24 school year, as provided by House Bill 2 of the 131st General Assembly. The Zanesville Community High School fiscal officer will continue to be contracted through Zanesville City Schools.
May I have a motion, please?
Lee will move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion?
Just on this, guys, it's quote unquote, not the best practice in all the epicenter stuff, but you have this waiver available. And so again, most community schools are not going to be able to find somebody to do the job for, sort of what the pay is. So it's just both sides approving that they understand what this says and what it's not necessarily best practice, but that's the best thing we can do.
Comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Guess I'm up.
Yep.
Item 10 on the addendum, employment ZCHS administrative. Approve a 1-year, 10-month contract, 202 days for Charles Doug Baker, a supervisor of community school compliance and operations for Zanesville Community High School, effective August 1st, 2024 through July 31st, 2025, pending appropriate certification and background checks. Salary would be $70,000 and paid with Zanesville Community High School funds.
May I have a motion, please?
Long will move.
And a second.
Lee will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Move into board committee reports. We'll start this evening with Mrs. Lee, legislation.
So you have,
Sorry.
the
Something.
Muskegon Valley Park District, the Greenway Trail. Do you want to
Okay.
talk about the easement?
Oh, yes, we can do that. Yep. I see that now. I'm sorry. I know we had the maps.
Yeah.
On that on Google Docs that they were showing.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what we're.
Are they doing a sidewalk or are they doing?
I have not talked to Russ, so that's where we probably need to start. I talked to Kelly Ashby about it at the community school board meeting last week. Excuse me, and she wasn't sure exactly what. Looking at the maps, I'm not sure if they're trying to come across the property anywhere, or if that's just really truly coming up. What is it, Pierce Street?
Yeah.
Up the sidewalk there. I'm not sure what they're looking for.
Other than the map, I mean, it showed where they wanted it, but there was no language that I
Right.
read
Yeah.
that talked about term or,
I'm not
any
sure.
of the detail.
I believe the money's coming from Straker, right?
Yeah,
For the
portion,
trail,
yeah.
at least a part of it.
That's what I was gonna ask. Are we gonna have any money
We
involved?
shouldn't have
Yeah.
anything in it, other than a board resolution
Yeah.
that says that we're okay with whatever. I mean, we shouldn't have any legal fees or anything like that, other than if we want it reviewed by our own, counsel. But I'll reach out to them and see exactly what it is they're wanting. I mean, the email and obviously you guys have seen the drawings, so I'm not sure exactly what the side of, where they're going with it coming from the side.
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand why the
Grass
trail
or
just
if it's-
doesn't end right there on the river.
Mhm.
And then the sidewalk's there for people to walk back up to Moxahala or to Putnam Avenue.
Yeah.
So
Could they
I'm-
come and just give us a summary?
Yeah, I'll see if he'll come the next board meeting.
Because I think, didn't the city do that when they were asking for the,
For up here.
up
for
here?
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. Yeah.
So yeah, I'll reach out to him and see if he'll come to the
Okay.
next board meeting.
Thank
Can't
you.
imagine they're gonna start on anything until spring.
And then district nutritional, any other questions? I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
Asking about. Mr. Apple.
Handout. Stewart going to be here this evening. Is similar to the same thing as the last year, but that's a board meeting, gives all the description, the guidelines from USDA. We got all of the reimbursement for our schools. I think he's done a good job putting this together. Also have the snack and foods, beverages. Preschool has special rules for them to be in the classroom, so each teacher has to follow those rules as well. And yeah, there's quite a bit here. So if you have any questions, you can call me next week. You can follow this while you're eating your turkey. But I'm also happy with, I think you've done a fantastic job on this with the December vote. Kevin and Jason and Steve coming on, we're going to be moving in the right direction. We won't skip the beat. There'll be a lot of training going on in the next couple of weeks. I know Mr. Herman, myself, I'm back. We'll be learning a lot of stuff. So yeah, if you have any questions in there, there is a lot of reading here.
I can add to that, obviously we've had the talker guys here today and the last week and a half or so. Our claims are higher than they've ever been, even with some decreased enrollment in some spots.
Claims in a good way.
Claims in a good
right,
way. I was like, wait a
These are
second, I had to
Correct.
reframe
Our
that.
reimburse, let me rephrase
Quite
that.
well.
Our reimbursement, for August and September was 405,000. We've never had one at over 400,000. And October's was 350,000. So kids are taking the meals, they are eating the meals, and they enjoy. I couldn't make it up there this afternoon or for lunchtime at the middle school, but I know.
I walked around and talked to the kids and they were,
that I didn't really ask the 8th graders at practice, but because I know what one answer I would have probably gotten.
Yeah.
So, but it is rolling pretty well in the right direction. I think that the choices and what the kids are taking is working out really well.
And they're taking a whole meal, because if they just take a portion of it, it doesn't count at all. They have to take every piece of the lunch that's set up in the menu for it to count.
Because I watched them today, they took the things that they prepared with the Oriental, and then they picked up like a little salad or slaw, and then they had carrots, and then they had their milk, and then they had their fruit. So they picked it all up and out they went. So yeah. Good stuff. Great. Questions on any of this? I know we've got a lot of it to look at, the menus and so forth. Now we'll go into committee reports. Lori, please.
I just have 3 legislative updates. So the House passed House Bill 214 by a vote, and this was actually sponsored by Representative Holmes from Nashport by a vote of 64-30, and the bill would require each public school to adopt a policy regarding certain expectations related to the performance of staff members' professional duties. The amendment clarifies that schools cannot require employees of job applicants to offer an opinion about specific beliefs, affiliations, ideals, or principles. Yeah. And then we have the House Bill 250, which revises military enlistment diploma seal. The amendment renames the military enlistment seal to the military seal, since legislation makes students entering U.S. military academies or ROTC programs on scholarship eligible for the seal. And then the Senate unanimously passed Senate Bill 29, which would enact laws pertaining to technology providers for education records and data. The bill would require school districts to make public certain information regarding the technology providers they use. So that's another fun requirement. So that, those were pretty much, and then I watched today, I don't know if anybody else watched it, but there was the first public meeting of the new Department of Department of Education and Workforce. So they had their first public meeting, kind of went through their spending and the new initiatives that were in that House bill. So literacy, of course, is a big one. And then they talked about career. They're throwing a lot of money at career exploration.
And then they're doing the wellness dollars again, for districts. So there's money coming. Steve Dakin was named the,
Interim director.
interim, or the director.
Yeah.
But he has not been approved yet by the Senate, has to approve him. So Jessica Voltini was the interim director, was leading the call today. So they had their first public meeting.
Anything on student achievement?
Well, we've had lots of student
Yeah.
achievement.
Yeah.
Tonight was one
Yeah,
great,
absolutely.
great thing about student achievement. So thank you, Mr. Lawyer, for putting that all together. Thank your teachers again. And then National Honor Society induction was last week, so we got to attend that. So that was exciting to see. So yeah, lots of great student achievement. And then the other nice thing that the district leadership team DLT meeting again was last night. Chronic absenteeism was the topic. Good news is that the percentages of chronic absenteeism that we had last year are all starting to drop. John McIntyre was the only one that was the same as last year, but there were significant drops in chronic absenteeism. So moving in the right direction. We talked about a lot of great things and interventions that the district can do in lots of different areas. So we went through all of that. So great discussion. So really, really excited about that work that they're doing there.
They're working hard. Appreciate all that. Audit committee, anything, Mr. Young?
So putting together the last pieces for Schoenhart and Associates to finish up the year-end report for the auditors. With some sickness through the office and through a couple of our outside third-party people. I did get the fixed assets this morning, so that was the last outside piece to come in. And the audit right now, so we did get a 2-week extension on the report. The audit is set to start on December 4th, and they should still be able to finish by the end of December. So just the extension for the filing of the report, and the audit report should be still on time at the end of December.
Then insurance, of course, we had to move some money around to
Yeah,
cover.
it's just a lot of high dollar claims. When you're self-insured, it is what it is.
Buildings and Ground Committee, we met last week. We talked about the roofs earlier, what was gonna happen, and they're finishing, and the ones in the spring. The new signs at the buildings are up and running. ZHS has had a glitch. It's been kicking off. And I know they were going to look into that to see what was happening. ZGI, where we are, they are still finishing the work on the generators, hopefully have it up and running over Christmas break. Multi-purpose building, if you haven't been by, they've milled all the pavement and they're bringing in fill. They hope to have that all in by the end of this month. So we were there the other day and watched them dump it, vibrating and pound it down, and yeah.
700 truckloads.
Yeah.
That's what they're gonna bring in.
Yeah.
Is PSI there
Yeah,
regularly?
I don't know how regular they are, but I know that's who they're using.
Is PSI there?
4 hours, yeah.
Okay.
That's what he said, yeah. Yeah, that's what he said, yeah. Athletics, they were just talking about the Wi-Fi needs to be addressed in some of the places at the high school for calling purposes, and also at the main gate. In the football stadium and the visitor side, they're having trouble, I think, connecting with ticketing and payments.
Yeah,
So
they're
they're
just-
working on that.
On the visitor side especially, it's on the press box, so it's kind of hard to reach it to get it to so it needs a stronger
Booster or something.
And they also mentioned maybe getting a lift at the high school, and we have that one that's old, they kind of move it around, but they use a lift a lot at the high school, so considering the possibility of purchasing one of those, maybe. They're not cheap, so. Alright. Business advisory, they had that last month.
Next week is 23rd. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a nice crowd. We had
Yeah,
a nice
very
crowd
nice crowd.
at Business
For-
Advisors.
That's good. Anything for closing? At this time, we will move into executive session, whereas the Board of Education, other governmental bodies are required by statute to take official action and to conduct all deliberations upon official business only in open meetings unless the subject matter is specifically exempted by law. Whereas the minutes need only reflect the general subject matter of discussion in executive session. And whereas the members of the public body may build an executive session only at a regular or special meeting for the sole purpose of consideration of any of the matters set forth below. Now therefore be it resolved under the provision of the Ohio Revised Code 121.22, the board hereby enter into executive session for the reasons of
I would say
legal,
to confer with an attorney.
to confer with an attorney
7:21.
at 7:21 PM. May I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second, clerk will second. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hickman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. We'll be Coming out of executive meeting at 8:06 PM, may I have a motion, please? Oh, wait a minute. Thought you weren't there. Coming out of executive at 8:06 PM, may I have a motion, please?
Hickman will move.
And a second, clerk will second. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Meeting adjournment. Be it resolved that the Zanesville City Schools Board of Education meeting is adjourned at 8:07 PM. May I have a motion, please?
Leo move.
And a second.
Hickman will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lee.
Yes.
Ms. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes.
Mr. Hickman.
Yes.